Okay, folks, final video for Chapter 3, and we're going to kick this off with Section 11 of your notes, talking about scheduling strategies for the cable and satellite operators. So, there's a concept called channel matching. And what this idea is that for the broadcast television stations in a local area, channel matching would be taking the over-the-air stations and corresponding the channel numbers of the over-the-air station to the over-the-air channel numbers on the cable box. So if you were looking for channel 17 in Raleigh on your local cable box, if your cable operator does channel matching, you would turn into 17 on your cable box, and then you would have channel 17. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, not every cable operator does that, and it actually took a while for them to kind of do that with the systems as time went along. It was actually pretty unusual to not have the channel number that a station broadcasts on over the air match the channel that you would turn to on your cable box. It's becoming more and more that way now, although still not always, because if you have a difference between standard definition and high definition options on your cable box, for example, those could be on differing channels, obviously. But channel matching, a lot of cable operators do try to do that. Content clustering schemes is the idea of placing cable networks on virtual tiers according to their content or appeal. So many cable systems cluster like networks into a certain group of channel numbers. So you would have your documentaries in a certain set of numbers. You'd have your sports channels in a certain set of numbers, your news channels in a certain set of numbers. Wired and wireless systems tend to be grouped by day and time, by genre, or by alphabetical order, trying to find what would be rather intuitive ways of being able to find the programs and services that you wanted to access. And then there's social media influence as well. Others that like this particular program may like this particular program. That's another way of clustering. Audience size. Audience shares for cable network channels cannot be exactly compared with over-the-air audience shares. Usually cable network ratings range from 1 to 4% of total TV households in prime time, rather than the 7 to 8% that the top local broadcast affiliate achieves. Although there are times where there is an exception to the rule, where sometimes cable is the winner of a certain period during prime time. It was a big deal when Discovery Channel did it for the first time. I can't remember what show it was, but there was a show that they, back around 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, where they won the night, beating out the broadcast networks. The collaborative cable ratings in a market for all the dozens of networks often exceed those for the highest rated station. So what we're talking about here is that we are definitely in a culture now where the overall cable audience is going to beat out the overall broadcast audience. That's been a thing for the first time that happened, I think, was in 1997, but it's becoming more and more the norm, especially with all the different cable channels that are available out there, that together the cable networks are now beating out the broadcast stations. 4 strategies for increasing the number of people reached simultaneously for advertisers. These are different ways in which advertisers may have these different services used to their advantage to try to get as many eyeballs as they possibly can. There's what's called advertising interconnects. This is an arrangement for the simultaneous showing of a commercial on a selected channel or number of channels between various franchises. So the local cable operator for Harnett County may get together with the local cable operator for Lee County and for Chatham County and for City of Raleigh and for whoever else. And they would all buy the same network across those different local cable operators, so that no matter where you are in a certain region, that you would get your commercial airing on A&E Network or MTV. Zoning is the idea of subdividing an interconnect into tiny geographic areas to deliver geographically targeted advertising. So if the first example, advertising interconnects, was to be able to reach a larger audience, zoning is trying to get to a smaller audience in a geographic sense, so that you could narrow your advertising to one particular town, and sometimes even a certain segment of town. Road blocking. Road blocking is the scheduling of the same ad on all cable channels at the same time, so that the advertiser's message blankets the time period. So you would go to a cable operator and say, I want my ad to air at 8:27 p.m. across all your different channels that you have available. That would be road blocking. And then the homogeneity of viewers. This is targeting a particular channel in order to target that channel's demographic. So you would buy exclusively MSNBC, or exclusively Fox News Channel, or exclusively National Geographic, or whatever, so that your business that attracts the same kind of audience as that particular network would hopefully be to your advantage. Repetition and ratings. Program repetition is used to be able to report how many people saw a program in all of its airings. In a previous chapter, we talked about how Discovery Channel would promo that a certain show runs at 8 p.m. And then what it would do is rerun that show at 11 p.m. because 11 p.m. Eastern Time just happens to be 8 p.m. Pacific Time. So the way that a cable network would share ratings in terms of number of viewers wouldn't be number of viewers within a particular time slot, but it would be number of viewers within a particular program. So if you watch the particular show, the particular episode at 8 p.m. when it aired, or at 11 p.m. when it aired, you would be counted as part of the ratings for that show. The size of the cumulative audience is often more salable than the audience for a single time period. So this is, again, cumulative. Think of everybody. It's all the eyeballs that were watching a particular show. And you could talk about the idea that this particular show got 3 million viewers last night, as opposed to saying the 8 o'clock time slot got 2 million viewers and the 11 o'clock time slot got 1 million viewers. It sounds more impressive and is able to market better to be able to say, hey, we have a show that got 3 million viewers last night. Promotion strategies. All sorts of different ways for promotion to happen. Mailers, TV, online ads to attract potential subscribers, and the subscribers that they already have to tell them about new and upcoming and improved services. Promoting exceptional program content and unusual program channels on air. That is done in such a way that it can provide 3 different advantages. It could be valuable for boosting ratings for new programs. It can reduce subscriber churn. If subscribers were thinking about no longer subscribing to the service, ooh, there's something new, there's something different, there's something unusual. Maybe I'll stay subscribed so I can check out that content. And thirdly, it creates positive images in the minds of subscribers and of advertisers. Another promotion strategy is elaborate websites about key programs. You can't watch a program anymore without them talking about their website and or their social media. They're going to try to keep you interactive with their content as much as they possibly can. Let's talk about local origination now on cable. This is where local cable systems may provide their own local or regional channels. Another option would be that broadcasters may replay or multiplex additional channels, or programming opportunities for nonprofit community access groups. All of these provide some sort of locally based content, whether it's by the cable system itself or by another local group, a broadcaster in the area, or the community at large. Entertainment channels universally are commercial, and they are intended to supplement a system's profits, cable system's profits. Programming is designed to be suitable for carrying advertising messages, and on this particular type of channel, religious channels and non-English channels tend to be rather popular. It's a way for these different groups that are somewhat underserved compared to the mass audience of some other channels, are able to get some kind of an audience, and local origination is one way to be able to do that. Other systems operate as regional news channels, such as Spectrum News, or they're programmed like independent TV stations. Comcast has what they call the Comcast Network, and has all sorts of original programming, just like it was any other channel that you would see throughout its lineup. High school or minor league sports, local talk shows, also a main staple on many local origination cable channels. Also, you have classified advertising channels. This was really big, especially in the beginning days of the cable networks, where they would have a channel that you would spend like $5 and you could have a computer generated slide on the screen, selling your wares, just like you would put one ad in the paper or put an ad on Craigslist or something like that. And most of the time, those channels would have some sort of local radio station playing in the background as kind of audio filler while those different ads were playing along. Local origination news programming. A lot of times this will be a replay of broadcast TV news supplemented with some local talk. A good example of this is the Pittsburgh Cable News Channel, which is operated by the NBC affiliate in Pittsburgh. So the news that's provided on PCNC would either be an original newscast or it would be a replay of the newscast done by the local broadcast station. Happens to be Channel 11, WPXI, is the NBC affiliate in Pittsburgh. And then at times they would also air original talk programming. So that's one way to do local origination news on cable. Some are focused on news from regional to hyperlocal and spend extended amounts of time on those stories, kind of giving it more of a CNN sort of a feel. Interactive websites with on-demand content usually accompany these types of news channels. Also, listings and descriptions on more successful regional cable news services. You can find those in your textbook. One that was not mentioned in the textbook is our own Spectrum News that we have in North Carolina, where they will do newscasts from various cities throughout North Carolina, and they will share some of the stories and some of the reporters between the Raleigh market and the Charlotte market, for example. Community access on cable. Access channels are non-commercial and are driven by educational, artistic, and public service goals. They provide alternative programming that would never be viable for for-profit stations. And a lot of times, these are going to be shows that are done by local people in the community, or they're produced in other markets where there's a local public access network and they make it available to other local public access networks. What Community Access TV provides: it provides access by community members to the means of TV production through training classes, arrangements for loans of TV cameras, and use of editing equipment. So it's kind of a way for Joe Public to be able to go and do television content and to have access to the equipment to be able to create and produce that content. Also, provides access by community members to an audience through cable casting. Many cable access channels are screaming for content to be able to put on the air, and as long as you've got an idea and you seem trustworthy, they'll let you do a show, and they'll train you how to use all the things and do all the things and put a show together, and they'll put it on the air for you. Changing usage. Community access channels coming together to support each other, kind of in that networking sort of way. Internet becoming the haven for content that was once sought to be placed on community access. I mean, YouTube is pretty much the glorified community access television these days. Plus, with the use of smartphones and other lower cost cameras that can produce fairly adequate audio and video, the need for the community access TV station for the public may not be as big as it once was, but it is still a thing. Non-local programming. Programming can come from around the country or around the world to serve populations not served by other networks and to supplement community access programming. We talked about religion and cultural types of programming. They are very popular on community access television. It's not all that difficult to find a local church broadcasting on community access TV, or to find programming that's geared to people that speak a certain type of language or come from a certain type of country and talk about things that are happening in the native country and that sort of thing. Some things that are sneaking up for cable and satellite and telephone companies. On-demand programming is coupled with TV everywhere. So that's kind of like the services like where Dish has the Hopper. So if you subscribe to Dish Network, you could pull up programming on your tablet or smartphone wherever you are and tune in to live programming. Paying for video on demand. Would there be subscriptions per program? Perhaps, maybe. We are seeing people willing to pay for certain access to certain networks, such as CBS All Access and HBO, now with its own streaming platform. Rights fees, earlier releases for programs for video on demand. If you want to be the first to watch something before anybody else does, maybe you're willing to pay a premium for that. Intellectual property rights for TV everywhere. Trying to control how the proper people get paid for the things that are produced. As we get more and more technologically advanced, it becomes more of a challenge to be able to protect copyright as more and more people try to hack the means to bypass copyright material. Advertising and DVRs, ongoing debate there. How to keep people from doing commercial skipping. There's more and more use of product placement in a lot of program content. Perhaps providing discounts and coupons for people that watch certain ads. You see a lot more of the enter code blah 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 when you go to our website and get this sweet deal. How long will Verizon and AT&T partner with DBS services? How much longer will Dish and DirecTV be able to do bundles of phone and internet, where Verizon and AT&T now have their own cable programming services. We'll have to see. Consumers want converters built into TVs and computers. They don't want to go out and have to buy something brand new. They want the old stuff that still works just fine, thank you very much, to be able to do what they need to do. So help them to be able to use their old equipment. Personalized search engines. Well, we're kind of seeing that in a way. How many times have you looked for something online and Facebook reminds you that you've looked for something online over and over and over? And mobile media will supplement but not supplant traditional media. That one might be up for debate. We're getting more and more used to watching things on smaller screens. And now with a lot of streaming services providing what would originally have been theatrical releases that you can now pull up on various streaming services, well, maybe we don't care about the big screen or the big sound. That might be left more to a particular experience for a certain reason, as opposed to, oh, we want to see a new movie, we have to go to the movie theater. Well, that's going to do it, folks. That's the notes for Chapter 3. Make sure you complete your notes and your study questions. Get those turned in. Also, make sure that you check out the pre-class questionnaire on Blackboard. 3 simple questions that I ask you after each and every chapter and before we get together to talk about the chapter as a class. Those things help to fuel our discussion, helps to get you thinking about the stuff that you've been able to watch as part of the lecture or read within your textbook. Ask questions about anything and everything related to the chapter. It helps fuel the discussion. And of course, continue to monitor your Cougar Mail and Blackboard for the latest and greatest on any changes that come about in the class. Speaking of class, I'll see you there when we get together for class.